Live from Redmen Field in Jamaica, New York, Sports Channel presents Metro College Football. Tonight, it's a Liberty Conference showdown as Iona battles St. John's. Over the last decade, the Redmen of St. John's have proven to be a nemesis for the Iona Gales football team. They played some wild and woolly games over the course of that time, and tonight should be another one. Hi again, everybody. I'm Barry Landers, joined again tonight by Marty Lyons, former Jet star. Marty, can tonight be the night Iona breaks a 10-year jinx?
Well, Barry, Iona really wants to, and tonight's Friday the 13th, so anything can happen.
The Gales come off a victory last week over Marist to come from behind win. They're a little tentative at the outset. The defense played well, and of course the offense is led by some good people, likely Billy Highland, the quarterback.
Well, it also starts right up front. They've got a strong, explosive offensive line. But Bill Highland is the key. He's a scrambling type of a quarterback, a Doug Flutie. Even when the pocket's there, he wants to roll out. He wants to make something happen. Last week, he ran the ball. He was effective. So the Redmen tonight have to contain Highland.
And they'll have to contain Byron Womack, a great running back as well. As far as St. John's is concerned, defense is their story. They return just about everybody in the front seven, and a couple of question marks on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, the big question mark is Sharkey starting at quarterback tonight. He's a little inexperienced. He's coming off a bad year. They went 5-5. The offensive line has been rebuilt, so it's a challenge for him tonight to play ball control.
That young offensive line is going to have to open up some holes for a great running back by the name of Anthony Russo.
Without a doubt, Barry, an explosive back. He was the ECAC Rookie of the Year, the Liberty Conference Rookie of the Year. Explosive, set a new school record of over 1,100 yards. But he's got to have those holes up front by the big horses, the offensive linemen.
So it should be an interesting ball game, and we'll be back with more from Redmen Field in just a moment.
Metro College Football is brought to you by Hofstra University. Call 516-HOF-STRA. Hofstra University. We teach success.
Part-time students. At most colleges, they don't feel a part of what's going on, a part of campus life. At Hofstra University, part-time students have the opportunity to enjoy a full-time college experience with all the benefits, all the privileges of full-time Hofstra students. For information, call 516-HOF-STRA. Hofstra University. We teach success.
Let's say you'd written 37 checks this month, and you'd carefully logged each and every one, except for number 564. And let's say that in your hectic life between 536 and 573, 564 was a complete mystery. Well, if you banked at Citibank, you could just pick up the phone, punch in that mystery check number, and bingo.
$132.54.
Instant recall. Hey, if you're not just a phone call away from managing your money, guess you're not at the right bank. Citi phone banking. Not just banking, Citi banking.
Excellence, excitement, and entertainment. All of these are available at the Nassau Coliseum in a new standard of luxury, style, and sophistication. Add great sightlines and convenience to the mix, and you have a winning combination. Private executive suites, the perfect business entertainment vehicle. For the savvy businessman, these suites become an extension of your marketing efforts.
Barry Landers, Marty Lyons back here at Redmen Field on a summery evening. Let's go down to the field and meet Carl Reuter.
Barry, thanks very much. You and Marty mentioned a few moments ago that it was Friday the 13th, and no, I have not seen any Black Cats yet tonight. But I did find Iona coach Harold Crocker, and I asked him about the 10 straight games that St. John's has beaten Iona. I asked him if there was a St. John's jinx.
Well, I'll tell you, it's just like Coach D'Amico called me Jason all day today, so I don't know what that means, but we're really not superstitious. We're just really glad to get here, 1-0, and we're looking forward to a great night of football.
Any kind of a jinx? You haven't beaten St. John's in a long time.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's why I brought George Mayer over with me, because he's beaten him a few times, so I'm going to let him make a lot of calls tonight and take me off the hook.
All right, Barry, we'll go back upstairs to you, Marty. If I do disappear, you do know the reason. Gentlemen.
There you see George Mayer, who, of course, Harold Crocker was talking about, former Pace coach, and we're just about ready to go. This is the 14th meeting between these clubs. As you see, St. John's with a big edge. They've won 10 in a row. Last year, they upset Iona, the preseason Liberty Conference favorite. 2 years ago in a Wildwood, they won 45-31. And we're underway as they kick the ball away from Byron Womack with good reason. And it'll be fielded at the 23-yard line, where it'll be brought back to the 25. It'll be 1st and 10. Mike Frazetta On the stop, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Iona Gales, a club that is led by quarterback Billy Highland. And, of course, he had some big numbers a couple of years ago. Byron Womack has been moved to the super back. They'll play a run and shoot. He's the key guy. Joe Esparro, clutch receiver. The offensive line is a good one. They've got experience there. Joe Bono and Mark Conlon are the good ones there. So we're just about ready to go here. 1st and 10 for the Iona Gales as they put it in play at the 24-yard line. Byron Womack lining up in the backfield behind the quarterback Billy Highland. And here is Highland. Highland scrambling, which is what he does so good. 30-35, and he's crossed the 40 to the 42-yard line. Out of the shotgun, a design play right there, and that's something new they've added to the package, a shotgun coming out on the very first play.
Exactly, Barry. That's going to free up Womack a lot more. They're going with the hurry-up offense.
1st and 10 up at the 43-yard line. A la Hofstra of last week, the hurry-up offense. Byron Womack and Vinny getting the handoff inside, and not much doing there. Vince O'Grady, the outstanding outside linebacker, with the tackle. St. John's defense, it's a 3-4-4. Ray Lambright is a good one up front. And the linebacking crew, excellent one, led by outside linebackers Vince O'Grady and Carl Volpe. And the secondary has been rebuilt. John Del Rey is the key guy back after being injured last year. Again, out of the shotgun, Highland. Rolling right, under pressure. Highland picks up about 5 yards, and he was hit pretty hard over there. Hit by Scott Biter, number 57, the tough inside linebacker.
Well, anytime a linebacker can come up and make a stick on the quarterback like that, Bill Highland has got to think he doesn't want to run the ball, or he's going to have to find the sideline earlier.
Billy Highland made his debut against St. John's 2 years ago in this field in a wild 45-31 game. St. John's jumped out to a 28-0 lead on the passing arm of Scott Cessny, and some great receptions and a big kickoff return by Dennis McDermott. But Iona trying to turn the tables here. It is now 3rd and 5 for the Gales up at the 47-48-yard line. Again, out of the shotgun, Womack is 33. Highland has pressure up the middle, throws for the far sideline, incomplete, as he was looking for number 80, Joe Esparro, who's his clutch receiver. Defending on the play was Nevin Mann, but they had some pressure coming up the middle that time. I think it was Scott Kantrowitz, the linebacker, number 30. So it'll set up a punting situation here, Marty, for Eric Medical, the junior who averaged almost 33 yards last year. And deep for St. John's is Mike Frazetta and Anthony Iadivio. And the ball is fielded by Iadivio as he crosses the 15 up to around the 16, 17-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Redmen. A 40-yard punt with a 5-yard return. James McMahon on the tackle for Iona. Well, the St. John's offense, a big question mark will be quarterback Sean Sharkey. No question mark in Anthony Russo. He's a dandy. The receivers Iadivio and Long are good possession-type receivers. Offensive line, as you mentioned earlier, Marty, inexperienced, a young line led by Anthony Capek, who is the returning starter. 1st and 10 for the Redmen. Sean Sharkey had a good week of practice. Had an inconsistent scrimmage last week against Wagner. And back to throw on 1st down, throwing a quick out to Jeff Long. He steps out of bounds after picking up about 3. But I think the St. John's game plan is to throw enough to open up things for Anthony Russo.
Well, the one thing that the Redmen want to do tonight is they want to build some confidence in Sharkey. Right there you see a quick out pattern. It's an easy completion. He can build some momentum on that, and so can the Redmen offensive line.
Sean Sharkey, the sophomore, had a great game last year, coming in as a substitute in the 3rd quarter against Iona, and won the game for him. Under pressure, trying to throw, and he is going to be incomplete. The pressure put on by big number 91, Brett Barrow. And the defense we'll take a look at right now. Sean Kelly, Brett Barrow, Mike Bardunias. Bardunias is the best on that defensive front 4. The linebackers led by John Chaldone, an outside linebacker. And the secondary with the senior Tio Polanco, the only experienced guy back there. In fact, on defense, they start 4 sophomores and 2 freshmen, Marty. Very young defense.
Well, that's why they need that pressure from their front 7, Barry. They've got to get some pressure on Sharkey. Make him do something that he doesn't want to do.
3rd and 7 here for Sharkey. Back to throw. Throwing up the middle, and it's going to be almost picked off. Eugene McCarthy had the ball in his arms and would have had the interception. Sharkey had a miserable completion percentage last year, 29%. Bob Ricker was hoping for better on this first drive.
Well, what's very surprising, you got a talented running back in Anthony Russo and never touched the ball on the first possession of their first game for 1991.
Joe Parker is the punter, and Jack Rizzo is back as the safety. Parker standing inside the 10. Has time to get it away. The freshman wobbles it upfield, nearly blocked, and Rizzo will field it at the 40-yard line. And will be bounced down after a very short return of about 2, a 39-yard punt and a 2-yard return. One thing that Bob Ricco was pleased with was the improved kicking game. He's going with a couple of freshmen, John Ledworth as his place kicker and Joe Parker as his punter. But last year, St. John's had only one field goal the entire season, so they got very little out of their kicking game.
Well, right there, you've got to have your offense move you down in position, though, Barry. They gained 3 yards on 3 plays.
Joe Esparro will line up wide to the top of your screen. Now, barking out the signals is Highland back in a regular T here. He sends Womack in motion. They want to get Womack the ball as often as they can. He has 6 touchdowns in his career returning kickoffs. Highland throwing upfield, complete to Byron Womack out of the backfield. First down inside the 45 at the 44-yard line, brought down by Nevin Mann.
Barry, I like the way Bill Highland moves. He moves the pocket with them. Right there, you see a perfect example of Womack going in motion, coming back to the quarterback, wide open.
Harold Smith now checks into the ball game as a wide receiver. As you look at Womack, a senior from South Windsor, Connecticut, 5'8", co-captain this year, rushed for 102 yards last week. Now they send a man in motion. Quick pitches, and it's complete upfield. Trying to break it outside is Kevin Kennedy, the freshman from Florida, and he's down inside the 15-yard line by Michael Russo, the free safety.
Barry, there's just a perfect set by the quarterback, 3-step drop, timing pattern. That's what Bill Highland brings to this offense. Barry, as he goes back, 3 steps, look, it's all on timing. The receiver's right there. He gets away from one tackle. He breaks toward the sidelines. He covers the ball. Excellent execution right there by Iona's offense.
They really like this youngster, Kevin Kennedy of Boca Raton, Florida. He's recruited by 1AA school, Holy Cross. Rob Spencer used to be a coach at Iona and at Hofstra. Pitch to Womack. He's got blocking from Vinny Spera, and Womack bounces off a couple of guys, and he goes down inside the 10-yard line, close to the 6 or 7.
Well, the one thing that we said earlier in the show, there was 2 talented running backs in the Iona's backfield. One was the quarterback, and the other one was Womack. Womack is taking control. Bill Highland is keeping the Redmen's defense guessing.
Womack has 4.5 speed. He gets into the open field. He's awful tough to stop. 2nd and 3 for the Iona Gales, trying to score first here. Keep it on the ground to Womack. Slides off a couple of tacklers. Inside the 5, has the first down, and around the 3, Ray Lambright, the 6'3", 260-pound sophomore defensive end, number 79, finally brought him down.
Well, anytime you run the run and shoot, if you have an explosive fullback that can get outside or run it right up the middle, it's going to open up the game anytime for your wide receiver. Right now, they're utilizing Womack outside, inside, and you got Highland. He's picking his receivers, and he's gaining yardage.
Billy Smith in the ball game as a tailback. He goes in motion now. He's a speedy freshman from Yonkers. And Highland in trouble. Vince O'Grady chases him out of the pocket. Highland still scrambling, throws in the end zone. He's got a man out there complete for the touchdown as he found the wide open receiver, Vinny Spera, the senior from South Windsor, Connecticut, number 38.
Barry, that play looked like it was in slow motion. It looked like everybody stopped except the Highland. He knew he was sacked. He spun out of it. He found Spera in the end zone. He kept the play alive. As a result, put 6 points on the board.
Tom Bergen in to try the extra point. The holder is Billy Highland. And now you'll see them break out of that formation. Marty, interesting formation on the kick here. Bergen shares kicking duties with Jim Cowper. The ball up, the kick is on the way, and the kick is going to be no good. Wide to the left, and you see, again, the goalpost, some 5.5 feet narrower this year.
Well, we saw the kicker last week of Hofstra miss it, and now Iona comes out. They missed their first extra point. Right now, Iona's got to be happy with the way their offense is playing. They've taken control. Their defense, though, has to come out and shut down St. John's early in the next series.
Here's a look at the very pretty scrambling effort by Billy Highland.
Well, here's Highland. He fakes the handoff. He goes back. He's in trouble. He stops. Everybody stops along with him. They're trying to keep him in the pocket. As a result, Sparrow finds an opening in the end zone. An easy 7 points for Iona.
You got to watch those two outside linebackers for St. John's. They're awfully good. Carl Volpe, you saw 69 and 39. Vince O'Grady chasing him, containing him somewhat, but he found the open receiver.
Well, Barry, the one thing that the defenders have to do, they have to go get them. They can't just contain them. They've got to put them on the ground.
Hey, and don't you think those guys are happy after getting that touchdown? How about the missed extra point here by Tommy Bergen? Billy Highland was upset, so was Tommy Bergen. He can't believe it.
Well, I think they're just upset that they didn't get that extra point.
All right, so St. John's will receive the kick. As it comes downfield, it'll be taken it around the 10-yard line. And returning it to St. John's is Anthony Russo, so he finally gets his hands on the ball. Returns it across the 20 to around the 25-yard line. They'll spot it around the 26, where it'll be 1st and 10. Brought down by Stephen Sullivan, number 18 for Iona. So a very pretty scoring drive. 5 plays, 58 yards, under 2 minutes. And the big play, of course, Spira catching the 3-yard touchdown pass from Highland. Let's see what the Redmen counter with. Sean Sharkey, the sophomore, is the quarterback. Sharkey had, as we mentioned, the big game last year, coming off the bench, leading St. John's to the upset win. He was 3 for 4 in that game, including a 71-yard pass to his high school teammate, Anthony Iadivio. This time, they keep it on the ground for Russo, and he gets a couple of yards. Brought down by inside linebacker Eugene McCarthy. It'll set up a 2nd down play. So the Redmen go to the ground attack here as they make some changes. Tom McPherson checks in with a play from the sideline. You'll see a lot of Chuck Broadway in the lineup for the Redmen. He is another running back. Right now they go with a single running back, Anthony Russo. How about this trips to the left? What do you think we're going to see here?
Well, if I was St. John's, I'd get Anthony Russo the ball, get him involved with the game, break up this Iona defense.
They looked for long as they isolated him on the near side. Incomplete. Sharkey had time, but just threw too low. He was defended on the play by John Chaldone, the outside linebacker. Let's go down to the field, and here's Carl Reuter.
Barry, graduate assistant coach in your picture, Scott Cesny. Now, the first man that Sean Sharkey went to following that first St. John's series was the former record-setting quarterback here at St. John's. Cesny has taken him under his wing, and they had a very good talk. He asked Sean Sharkey, do you know where your linebackers are? Do you know where the free safety and the safeties are? They will work hand in hand in tonight's ball game and throughout the season, Barry.
3rd and 8, Carl. Back to throw. Sharkey with good protection. Trying to scramble to the near side. The ball tipped on the way, and it goes incomplete as he was looking downfield for his big tight end, Nicholas Palmieri. And the pressure put on by Mike Morgan, the right outside linebacker, number 41.
Well, that's the 2nd time St. John's offense has gone in 3 and out 3. The momentum's going to start to shift, and it's going to start to shift toward Iona unless St. John's, either offensively or defensively, can come out and establish themselves.
Ledwith in to punt for the 2nd time at a 39-yard punt his first time. Jack Urizzo is deep, standing at his own 45. And St. John's may have taken too much time here. Might be some movement. We'll wait for our referee, Richard D. Simone, to make his call.
We had a false start. Offense, go 4th down.
The illegal procedure against the Redmen. And look at our official group today, Richard D. Simone and his fine crew. Umpire Anthony Donato, Phil Domenico, Hugh Campbell, Frank Corrado, and Alan Russell rounding out this veteran ECAC crew. So now standing inside the 10 is Ledwith. High snap. Bobbles the ball. He may not get it away, and he does. Wobbles it upfield. Urizzo fair catches, and Iona in great field position after a 26-yard punt. 1st and 10 at the St. John's 49.
Well, Barry, the one thing that we have to remember, Iona, this is their 2nd game. St. John's, they're playing a little tentative right now, both offensively and defense. It is their first game. They've got to get over this jitter and start to establish themselves right away, or Iona's going to take control.
Another factor, on a hot night, St. John's defense out there trying to run around and contain Billy Highland. They could wear out. We'll see right now what Highland has in his bag of tricks. Back to the shotgun formation. So the second time they've used this. Have a new offensive coordinator, George Mayer. Pressure from O'Brady. He throws it upfield, up for grabs, and it is almost picked off by number 29 back there, Kevin Barberi, the intended receiver, Joe Asparo.
Asparo just made an excellent play to prevent the interception. He went up, maybe even got his hand on the defender, pushed him away, and went up for the ball. But Bill Highland took a heck of a lick that time from number 39, Vince O'Grady.
Boy, O'Grady can really stick you. He is one of the premier guys as we watch again here.
That's just an excellent play. Otherwise, it would have been a turnover.
Highland with a quick pitch on the far side, complete downfield to Kevin Kennedy. He's got the speed, the youngster from Florida. First down inside the 30 at the 27-yard line. He caught 3 passes for 59 yards last week. Good tackle there by the Redmen after a 21-yard gain.
Well, the one thing Iona's doing now, they're going with the high percentage play. Right there, it's just a quick 2-step drop out into the flats, and you got to give all the credit to Kennedy that time. He caught the ball, ran for a good 15 yards.
Kevin Barberi with that good tackle on that last play. Womack up the middle. Picks up about 3, maybe 4, as he bounces to the 25-yard line. Al Bruno stopping him. And now the Gales will send in 3 players as they substitute quite a few players here. So Iona running in different formations here on each down.
Well, the first time that they came out, they went with the hurry-up offense. Now they're going to go back with their set players and try to catch St. John's sleeper.
Harold Smith at the bottom of your picture, number 82 as a flanker. Working out of the eye, Highland going deep down the right sideline, and a diving catch, incomplete, out of bounds, they say, was Kevin Kennedy. But I'll tell you, this kid they call Gator from Florida has looked awfully good, this freshman.
Well, I think right now we see somebody that Bill Highland's comfortable with. We see a combination. Right here, he goes back, he throws. Kennedy beats the defender. He has a step on him. The ball's just a little bit out in front of him. He catches it, but he's out of bounds.
Kennedy has caught 2 passes for 25 yards. They're working on nickelback Kevin Barberi, number 29 there. Big 3rd and 8 play. Ball back in motion. Iona leading 6-0 first quarter. Highland throwing upfield, looking for Womack, and incomplete. As there was defending on the play, Michael Russo, the free safety, number 23. As that ball sailed over Womack's hand, Jack Urisso, number 87, who was behind the play, almost had a chance at catching that ball.
Well, I think out of all the passes Bill Highland has thrown thus far in the game, that was the worst. He let that ball float. He was throwing on the run. He's got a plant.
So Highland on 4th down and 8 from the 26, they'll go for it. He's 4 for 8 for 72 yards in this first quarter. Out of the shotgun. Highland pressured up the middle. Throwing, and it is going to be complete downfield for the first down. Harold Smith, the speedster, number 82, out of Yonkers, a sophomore who has 4.5 speed, comes up with a reception.
Well, Barry, we talked about the strength of Iona. Their offensive line did an excellent job. There was a flag on the play. It's holding on Iona. It nullifies the play, but just an excellent play, excellent catch by Harris. As a result, you go back to the line of scrimmage, it's holding.
One of the things that Iona did this year was to move the ball around. Last year they had Chris Delacamera, tremendous receiver, by the way, the cousin of our producer and director Larry Roth. But Delacamera's gone, Farrelly's gone, the big tight end, and a lot more people in the offense.
On the offense, still 4th down.
So there you see the call, holding, and that is a big one. Bob Ricca breathes a sigh of relief. That's a big play for St. John's there. A big break. And Iona now will be forced to punt. It'll be the second punt for Eric Manical. He punted 40 yards. Harold Crocker a little upset with the guy who did the holding.
Well, I think Harold's also pleased with the way his offense is establishing itself and moving the ball.
Manical kicking from midfield. Beautiful kick sailing downfield, but it should hit the end zone, and it does. So they'll bring it back on the 46-yard punt to the 20-yard line, where the Redmen will have their 3rd possession, looking for their first down as they trail in the ball game 6-0. If you're just tuning in, Billy Highland led Iona to a fine drive, a 5-play, 58-yard drive, and capped it off with a 3-yard touchdown pass to Vinny Spira. The extra point try was no good. We've got 8:39 to go in this first quarter. So let's see what Sean Sharkey can do here. They did bring in a new quarterback earlier in this week. We'll talk about him if he makes his debut, Paul Bruno. Former baseball player at New York Tech. Russo, the handoff, flags fly everywhere. Could be a procedure penalty on the line. We'll wait for the officials to make the call.
Got a false start on the offense. No first down.
So it's now 1st and 15 for the Redmen off the illegal procedure. Billy Osterman, the fullback, leaves the game. Chuck Broadway, number 49, checks in. Johns has done very little on its first 2 offensive drives. There's a look at Scott Cessny, former star quarterback. What a game, as we mentioned, he had 2 years ago against Iona. Trying to help Sharkey over the hurdles, being a young quarterback. Sharkey, quick look in, batted and intercepted. Intercepted, and it'll be run down in for the possible touchdown, maybe at the 1-yard line. It's down at the 1-yard line, and the man of the hour, number 79, coming up with it, Mike Bardunius, the co-captain from St. Anthony's, John Chaldone, deflecting the ball.
Bardunius just does an excellent job. He puts his hands up. He reacts to the ball. That's what a defense has to do. You react when something happened. Right there, Sharkey tried to get a quick 2 to 3 step drop out into the flats. Bardunius just raises his hand, catches it. As a result, Iona's got a chance to score. Here, as we look at it, the ball's deflected, hit straight up in the air. Bardunius realizes he's got it. He's going for the end zone. It's not many times that a defensive lineman gets an opportunity to catch a ball. Not many opportunity defensive linemen get a chance to score with the ball.
Marty, did you ever do it? Did you ever get a shot to run one in?
I tried to fall on it. That was our main thing. I didn't want to pick it up. I just wanted to fall on it.
Well, he's a second-team Liberty Conference All-Star from last year, and it's been a very inauspicious start of the season for Sean Sharkey here. We mentioned the other quarterback, Paul Bruno, is the guy that St. John's might go to a little bit later, but he's only had a week to practice. Can't learn the playbook in a week, can you?
Well, you know, Barry, the big thing is Coach Rick has got to be disappointed in his offensive line and in Sharkey. He said earlier in the week that the quarterback, Sharkey, had the tools to become a great quarterback, but he has to develop confidence. That confidence goes all the way back into your offensive line. Here we see he just steps back. He's looking right at his receiver. Is knocked up. Ball floats. Here it is. Bardunius, he catches it. Nobody even realizes that he has the ball except himself.
Highland sends Billy Smith in motion. He's got Womack behind him. And it'll go to Womack. He tries to dive, shoved back by that top line. Fumbles the football. And let's see if the Redmen have recovered. This could be a big turning point. They think they have it. Still unpiling there. And apparently not, but they do lose a yard on the play. Great penetration. I believe the nose guard, Al Bruno, really got in number 68.
Well, you also see Vince O'Grady in there. He's the team leader out there on defense. He comes up, number 41, comes up with the big hit.
Chris Carew.
And they're all fighting for the ball. It looks like O'Grady's fighting for the ball right there. It's on the ground. He's fighting. He's pulling. But Womack makes an excellent recovery of his own fumble.
Iona fumbled a couple of times last week. Womack looking for the end zone. Will he get it? No. Stopped by Scott Biter, the inside linebacker in the 3-4 defense. Number 57, Bob Ricca, hoping his club can pull off the goal line stand here. They trail 6-0 with 7:48 to go in this first quarter. Let's see if they go to Womack again, or will Highland do a little bit of his scrambling here and try to open it up for a possible pass.
Right here with 3rd and 1, this is an excellent opportunity to give your defense a gut check. They have to do something to lift this whole team.
From our end zone camera, you watch the handoff, and on an end-around play, they will get the touchdown. Vinny Spira coming around, getting the touchdown, his second touchdown of the game, as John Del Rey was trying to get him, but he could not. So Vinny Spira, a nifty play call by Harold Crocker there.
Right, exactly. Harold Crocker knew that the Redmen were going to pack it from tackle to tackle. He gave the play fake with Womack. They were keying on him. Gave the ball to Spira on the end around. Easy 7 points.
Tommy Bergen to try the extra point. Highland holding as they will line up. And a wild 2-point conversion a couple of years ago that was the difference in a game. Bergen's kick up this time, and this time he's got it. And Iona has jumped off to a 13-0 lead, trying to avenge the 10 straight losses. Harold Crocker's club coming down here to Redmen Field and looking awfully good in the early part.
Well, right now, you know, as we look at the replay of the touchdown, here it is. Womack, he freezes the defense. Right here, you see Spira coming around. He makes a nifty move right here on number 42, and then it's in for the touchdown.
So Vinny Spira, a guy who doesn't get a whole lot of recognition, comes up with the touchdown run there. His second year in the varsity, a transfer from AIC. They call him Mr. Versatility. He can play fullback, he can play wide receiver, and he's got decent speed at 4'7". And he can break some tackles. And he had a nifty run there.
Barry, one thing that's ironic right now as we look at the scoreboard on Friday the 13th, it's Iona 13, St. John's yet to prove themselves.
Well, last year, Iona was leading 14-6 in that ball game when Sean Sharkey came off the bench and led St. John's to a 21-14 upset that ruined Iona's season. They had pretensions of going all the way in the Liberty Conference. Russo fumbles the kickoff loose down there, and I think he was able to recover. Oh, that could have been even more of a disaster for the Redmen.
That would have been a disaster for St. John's to lose a fumble that deep into their own territory. The momentum's already on Iona's side. St. John's has got to come out. One thing, play ball control. Pick up a first down this time, build some confidence with Sharkey, and utilize Russo.
Well, after the Bardunius interception, the drive, 3 plays, it's the 1 yard, and Spira's 1 yard run making it a 13-0 ball game. Let's see if the Redmen are going to make any changes here. Sean Sharkey still in at quarterback. Anthony Russo, who was stopped last year, held to just 30 yards rushing in the opening game against Iona. Gets the call here, burst quickly into the secondary, and you saw the acceleration and quick hitting of the hole that Anthony Russo possesses.
That's what made him the all-rookie last year. He can take a hole, take a crack, and pick up some positive yards. Right there, he ran behind Anthony Kopak, which is a great offensive lineman, picked up that needed yardage, and then some.
That has to give St. John's a boost, their first down. And it gives the defense a chance to rest a little bit. Out over the ball comes Frank Locascio, one of the freshmen on this very young offensive line. Sharkey has a set in the backfield. DBO at the bottom of your screen. And again, a little bit too long, perhaps. Sharkey looking over the defense, maybe hit with a 5-yard delay of game here. Now, one of the criticisms that they've had of Sean Sharkey is that I guess he runs out of the pocket a little too early. He's been staying in the pocket pretty well so far tonight, but just not connecting on his receivers.
Well, he hasn't really had much opportunity. He's only been in there 6 plays.
We got a delay game, 5-yard penalty against the offense, full first down.
Third penalty for St. John's for 15 yards total.
But as we look at the last 2 plays, they utilized Russo, and they went right behind Anthony Kopak, number 66. Anthony was their starter last year. When healthy, they scored over 25 points. He ended the season with an ankle injury. The offense went down to averaging 9 points.
Bob Ricker considers him the best returning offensive lineman in the Liberty Conference. So 1st and 15, they keep it on the ground for Russo. Picks up about 5 of those yards, tough yards, against the middle of the defensive line. And Eugene McCarthy and Tommy Oakes, the inside linebackers, brought him down. Tommy Oakes had quite a game last week, a sophomore from New Rochelle. 14 tackles, number 45, including 4 for losses as we watch the Redmen huddle back at the 30-yard line. So they picked up 6 on the play, and let's call it 2nd and 9. St. John's trailing now sends Charlie Broadway out to the right, number 22. Trips to the right this time. Russo bounces off a couple of tackles into the secondary. and Polanco hog ties him down. Otherwise, he would have gone for the touchdown.
Well, the one thing, Barry, that's the 4th consecutive play. All they're doing is pulling number 66, Anthony Capek. They're pulling him, telling Russo, stay on his tail, and then pick your hole. As we look, here's 66, he pulls. Russo jumps on the back of him, he rides him, and then everything else is second effort on Anthony Russo.
Well, Russo giving the Redmen a lift here as the ball now at the 44-yard line, 1st and 10, 5:20 to go. Sharkey on a deep drop, looking for the near sideline to Broadway. He's open, and Broadway shoved out of bounds at around the 32-yard line. So Charlie Broadway, Chuck Broadway out of North Babylon, is a good receiver out of the backfield. They said they had to get the ball to him more often. He's not quite as good as Russo, but he's a guy that could break the game.
Well, right there, he was wide open. He caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage and still ended up picking up a 1st down. Anytime you can take a talented wide receiver, get him the ball with no defenders around him, he's going to pick up some positive yards.
Again, Broadway and Iadivio line up wide to the left. Long is wide to the right. Trips again to the left side. Let's see if they isolate Long. He's got double coverage, however, on the near side. Russo stopped at the line of scrimmage. Real good penetration by Mike Bardunius, number 79, as he broke up the play.
Bardunius and number 91, Brett Barrow, just did an excellent job making great penetration, making a new line of scrimmage, and shutting down Russo right at the line of scrimmage. Here's a perfect example of what kind of respect and what kind of ability Anthony Capek has. An offensive lineman always has to keep his hands active, and that's exactly what Capek did.
2nd and 11 for the Redmen. Sharkey rolling left. He's got room to run, and he runs out of room there. Big number 90 coming up with the play was Vinny Santalia, as he brought him down for a big loss on the play.
Made the tackle.
Right there, Sharkey has got to get rid of the ball. If his receivers are not open and he can feel the pressure, as he did right there, don't absorb the sack. Don't take the loss. The best thing to do is to throw the ball away.
So now a critical situation, 3rd and 16. Santalia, a young, good-looking prospect. 2nd sack so far this year. Sharkey throwing almost intercepted. He threw it almost into the arms of the linebacker over there, Eugene McCarthy. Almost had his 2nd interception of the game, the Iona defense. Iadivio was the intended receiver, setting up a punting situation here. So the drive is thwarted with 3:55 to go. It's been all Iona. As doing the punting will be John Ledwith, standing back at around midfield. Jack Urizzo, the safety, will go back at around the 10-yard line. He kicks for the near sideline. Fair catch will be called for by Urizzo. Fumbles the football into the end zone. Jason Villar was chasing after it, and I believe that St. John's has come up with the football down there. Jason Villar was chasing along with Chris Carew, and Chris Carew, number 41, came up with the ball. The 6-foot sophomore from Franklin Square, their fastest linebacker, comes up with a perhaps game-turning play here for the Redmen.
Exactly, Barry. If your offense can't score, your defense can't score, you need somebody. Carew just made the biggest play for St. John's all night on special team, recovering that fumble, putting the Redmen on the board.
Turnovers plagued Iona last year. They cut down on them in the game against Marist last week, but this one a crucial one. Jason Villar will hold, and the freshman John Ledwith with the kick. It's up, and the kick is on the way, and the kick is good. So St. John's, in a bizarre turn of events, scores, and they now trail 13-7 with 3:44 to go. Look at Chris Carew, the man of the hour right now.
There it is. It's a bad snap, and then the kicker gets the ball off. He's trying to get it inside the 20. It's an end-over-end kick. The ball's going up. It starts to drift back. The receiver goes back. He gives a fair catch, but then he can't control it. It goes over his head. There's an excellent play by the Redmen, and Carew right on top of the ball. That's what you need out of your special teams. There's 3 phases of this game: offense, defense, and special teams. Right now, St. John's has one thing going good: their special teams.
Well, they've had a history of coming up with some bizarre plays against Iona. We mentioned earlier before that they beat St. John's beat Iona 26-24 a couple of years ago. Iona was going for the game-breaking extra point, and that was when the new 2-point rule was instituted, where you could return a missed kick, and the ball was blocked on the attempted extra point, picked up by Steve Neves of St. John's. He ran the length of the field for a 2-point conversion the other way, defensive 2 points, and St. John's beat Iona 26-24 in that game.
Well, I think the one thing, Barry, as we look at on the field, what St. John's defense and their kicking units trying to do, trying to keep the ball away from Byron Womack. He's already had 6 touchdowns on kickoff returns. He needs 1 more to go into the record book of going up there with Rocket Ismail.
Well, there's no question that 2 years ago he had a 95-yard kickoff return on this field, and Bob Ricker said, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to kick the ball to him. If I have the wind, I'll try to kick it out of the end zone. If I don't have the wind, I'm going to kick line drives.
Well, I think Byron's going to experience that all year. You've got to respect his ability and the ability to score that quick.
Ledwith will try this time from the 35 and make that the 30-yard line. Rizzo is the middleman. And Rizzo on this good kick will take it around the 13-yard line. To the 25, and Rizzo with a good return to the 35, brought down by Chris Carew. So Iona will put it in play 1st and 10 at the 35. 3:39 to go here in this first quarter, and the Gales lead the Redmen 13-7.
Who didn't tell me yet? 1st and 10 on the 36. You don't have to talk to me. Doc is looking at him now. No offense from him.
Out of the shotgun now, Billy Highland, who has alternated working from the tee and the shotgun. High snap, gets pressure from Scott Cantrowitz, steps up in the pocket and runs into big Ray Lambright, 6'3", 260, number 79. And he is down on the field. Oh, they can ill afford to lose this guy who suffered a shoulder injury last year in the St. John's game, was hobbled all year, and never got his sea leg, so to speak, last year.
Well, right there is just a perfect example of if the secondary gives them the time, they're going to get pressure on Highland. Highland made the mistake. He didn't scramble outside at time. He went right up front. Lambright laid him out.
Highland played his high school football at nearby Holy Cross High School in Flushing. He's highly recruited on the Division III level, and Anthony Frisco now has checked in to replace him at quarterback. He's a freshman from Wycliffe, New Jersey, a very cocky drop-back passer. And he'll be making his debut. Did not play last week in the open against Barracks. Handing off inside to Womack, and again the Redmen defense shutting it down. Ray Lambright getting in very quickly, asserting himself. What a great freshman year this guy had. As we look at Chris Carew made the big play in the end zone, recovering the fumble.
Well, anytime your offense and your defense is struggling, you need a guy that's going to bring up the whole team. Right there, Carew made that big play. He's walking around, patting everybody on the sidelines. He wants to win this game.
Billy Highland back in at quarterback, 3rd and 17. Let's see if the Redmen come with a blitz here. Got a nickel package in defensively. Highland chased by O'Grady, and Lambright screens it out to Womack. He's got some blockers. Breaks away from one tackle, but will get just about to a 5-yard gain on the play. Brought down by Tim Kilfeather, a 6th defensive back, number 35, who had checked into the ball game.
Barry, that was a design screen from the word go. They let all the defender in, hoping Womack could get him behind the offensive line and pick up some needed yardage.
So here's the punt coming. And Iadivio, or rather checked at Russo back at the 25-yard line. Checking it was Iadivio on the return, and he is stopped. Good coverage on the punt. However, there is a flag on the play, Marty. Frank Wall, number 48, on the tackle. They have this kicked over again.
So much of the game is momentum. Right now, you can feel the momentum shifting back to St. John's. All because of one play. Iona controlled most of the first quarter, made one big crucial mistake.
Well, we saw that last week in the Hofstra-Bucknell game. One play turned that game around. Redmen with an illegal substitution. Richard DeSimone letting the Iona staff know why he made the call. Don't forget, our next telecast will come up in 2 weeks. You'll see the Hofstra Flying Dutchman play CW Post.
We had illegal substitution against St. John's. The penalty is declined. We have a first down. Penalty declined.
So the Redmen trailing by a score of 13-7. We'll get the ball first and 10 at the 25-yard line, and they've got to feel a whole lot better about things than they did about 5 minutes ago when they last had the ball.
Well, especially because their defense went out there and for the first time stopped Iona, shut Iona down, and put a lot of pressure on Bill Highland that time and almost knocked him out of the game.
So the Redmen trailing right now have sent in John Murtaugh into the ball game as a receiver. Anthony Iadivio lines up wide to the right. Sean Sharkey's been in there all the way, the sophomore quarterback. In trouble and down. Sean Kelly, number 67, the senior defensive end out of Archbishop Molloy High School in Queens with a big play.
Right there, Sharkey just second-guessed himself. The receiver made the cut, made the move. Sharkey should have thrown the ball. He second-guessed himself, didn't release it, and as a result, was sacked. Here's Sharkey. He goes back, he pumps, throw the ball. He needed to throw the ball right there. Number 67 gets up, makes the big-time sack.
And speaking of sacks, Sean Kelly led the club last year with 8 sacks. Second sack so far this year. 2nd and 15. Sharkey again in trouble, throws on the run, fine reception, and coming back for the ball was Tommy McPherson, the freshman wide receiver who played at the same high school with Sean Sharkey at Valley Stream Central, made a nice catch.
Sharkey's got to be happy with that, Barry. He overthrew his primary receiver, and McPherson just made an excellent catch.
He's not big, only 150 pounds, but he went up for that one. So it's now 3rd and 3. Sharkey 3 for 7 for 27 yards and has thrown 1 costly interception. Poor timing. The tight end, Nicholas Palmieri, was the intended receiver, and something went wrong there. Sharkey bangs his foot to the ground.
I think Coach Rick and Sharkey are going to have a man-to-man talk here pretty soon, because that was miscommunication either from the quarterback to the receiver. He might have made an audible up front, but that's just miscommunication.
Ledwith to do the punting. He's punted 3 times, averaging close to 28 yards, a long of 39. Let's see if Urizo fair catches this one and handles this better. Ledwith snubs that kick off the foot, but it takes a good roll for St. John's inside the 40. There'll be no return, as it'll be blown dead inside the 35 at around the 34-yard line. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Iona Gales, as we have 10 seconds left in this kind of wacky first quarter, Marty.
Well, right there, they needed to get a good kick. Urizo, he fumbled the last one. Test him the next time. Put it high enough in the air where your special team can get down there. Carew and Gang can come down there, make them panic. You might be lucky and get a second fumble.
35-yard punt, no return. And we have 10 seconds remaining, so this should be the final play of the first quarter. Iona leading by a score of 13-7. Fullback going in motion.
Watch it drag, Mike!
Highland in trouble, chased by Scott Kantrowitz, and Kantrowitz will take him down to end the first quarter. So the St. John's linebacker is getting some good pressure as they come up with the sack.
Well, Kantrowitz just showed how much speed he had. Bill Highland was all out running, sprinting outside. Kantrowitz came from his inside linebacking position to make the sack.
That's the story at the end of 1. The Gales of Iona 13 and the Redmen of St. John's 7. We'll be right back.
Do you want to look your best from head to toe?
Reach for Rapid Shine, the amazing new one-step compact polisher. Simply wipe the specially treated Rapid Shine over any color, leather, or vinyl for a long-lasting, brilliant shine. Rapid Shine is so easy. No rubbing, no rags, no liquids, no mess. Best of all, Rapid Shine is so compact, it fits in your pocket, purse, or glove compartment. Rapid Shine cleans, polishes, and enhances fine leather. Its special formula guards against water stains. One Rapid Shine lasts over 100 shines. You'll get not one, but 4 Rapid Shine polishers. That's over 400 shines. You'll also get the Rapid Shine compact lint brush that removes hair, threads, and messy lint every time. That's 4 Rapid Shine polishers plus the bonus lint brush. Here's how to order.
Credit card orders, call 1-800-423-1800. That's 1-800-423-1800. Or send $12.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Rapid Shine, Box 5555, New York, New York, 10163.
2nd and 14 as we begin the second quarter. The ball tipped by inside linebacker Scott Bider, and those St. John's linebackers really starting to assert themselves now, Marty. Late in the first and early here, of course, in the second quarter.
Well, Bill Highland had that shoulder injury last year. He got laid out earlier by Lambright. It looks like he's not throwing the ball as effective as he was earlier.
He's now 5 for 10 for 79 yards and 1 touchdown. They felt he was a little gun-shy last year, and as he alternated with Ted Cooney most of the year, never really got in the groove that they had expected after a great freshman year when he was ECAC and Liberty Conference Rookie of the Year. 3rd and 14 for Iona. Protection for Highland. Throws complete. There is a flag on the play as Vinny Spira comes up with yet another big play and hustles for a couple of extra yards for the first down. However, there is a flag on the play. Tommy Kilfeather, number 35, on the tackle. That time, Highland, for one of the few times today, stayed in the pocket. He's not a big guy, Marty, at 5'8", but he was able to spot his receiver downfield.
Well, the one thing that you have to tell your defensive line if you're St. John's, he's small. He's 5'9". He can't get the ball up over you. Put your hands up. Right there's a perfect example. If the defensive line had put their hands up, the ball would have been batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Holding the call against St. John's. It'll be a first down either way, as they'll probably take the play and the ball at
we had holding against the defense. Penalties declined. First down.
First down for Iona on the 46.
So the ball up at the 46-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Iona Gales, leading 13-7. Vinny Spiro made that big catch, has scored both touchdowns, catching a TD pass from Billy Highland and running in from 1 yard out. Womack, the single setback. Highland throwing deep to the left side, looking for Harold Smith, and he can't hold on. He had beaten Vince Barberi, the defender.
Harold Smith had the step, had it in his hands. Bill Highland made an excellent throw, and Harold Smith should have had that. That would have been an easy 6 points.
That's the second time they've tried to isolate Barberi with Smith.
Here's Highland, takes 4 steps, looks at his receiver, lets it go. That's the kind of pass where you want your receiver to run underneath it. Here it is, Smith. He runs underneath it, gets it on his fingertips, but can't put the bread in the basket.
Good block by Byron Womack on Vince O'Grady to give Highland enough time to lay it out there. Out of the I formation on 2nd and 10. Fumbling the football, Highland, and he falls on top of it. As quickly jumping on was Ray Lambright. However, there is a flag on the play. Al Bruno also getting in very quickly. Ray Highland pulling away a little too quickly, perhaps, there, as came off the center snap. Center Tom Killian. It's a good offensive line, as we mentioned, with Joe Bono and Mark Conlon, the key guys. Kyle Flood and Guy Stankiewicz, the tackles. Bono and Conlon, the guards, and Killian, the center.
And it's a personal foul on St. John's, so that'll give Iona an automatic first down.
That has to hurt you if you're Bob Ricca. Your team defensively doing a pretty good job right here, and you give them a quick 15.
Ball on the 39.
So the ball moves to the 39, where the Gales will have it 1st and 10. 2 consecutive penalties on these drives, a defensive holding penalty and now a personal foul. Joe Bono has checked out of the ball game and replaced by Emery Moody on the offensive line. Again, this form of run and shoot, single setback. Highland throwing for the near sideline, and he's got his man out there for the touchdown again. Kevin Kennedy, the freshman from Florida, getting open. Beating Tommy Kilfeather, number 35, the defensive back.
Well, the one thing Harold Crocker said, Kennedy can fly. He was very impressed with Kennedy right there. Bill Highland just steps back. He takes a heck of a look at the end, but he throws it up and he tells Kennedy, run underneath it like I threw it to Smith, but make sure you put the bread in the basket, and that's exactly what he did.
Nevin Mann out of the game. Tommy Kilfeather was replacing him on that last series and got burned. As we'll have the try for the extra point. Bergen to try the extra point. Dan Green holding now, number 81, as they give Highland a little bit of a breather here. Good snap. And the kick looks like it is good. So the Gales strike early here in the second quarter, just as they did early in the first quarter, and have taken a 20-7 lead with 55 seconds gone in the second quarter.
Well, St. John's, they have to blame themselves for that touchdown. First of all, you have a holding penalty. Second, you have a personal foul. Third, your defensive back is beat. Right here, he goes back, Highland goes back, he takes a heck of a lick, but he throws the ball. And here's Smith, he's wide open. Kennedy, wide open, touchdown.
Well, the defensive back, Tom Kilfeather, the sophomore from Franklin Square on Long Island, really nowhere to be seen on that play. What a hit he took from Carl Volpe, number 69 there, as he unleashed it.
He's been taking hits all night, but the one thing he's doing, he's putting the ball out there far enough for his receivers to run up underneath and catch him.
So Billy Highland coming up with his second touchdown pass of the game. Last week, Highland did not throw any touchdowns. He was 19 for 37 with 237 yards and 1 interception. He's had good success against St. John's over the years. Anthony Russo and Charlie Broadway are deep to receive the kick here. This will be Russo taking it at the 10. 25. And is down as he gets close to the 30. Let's call it around the 29-yard line. With the Redmen trailing now by 13, we'll have a 1st and 10. Andrew Cox, the good-looking freshman, for Iona brought him down, number 54. 7 plays, 67 yards, and again, just took a little over a minute for them to score, and the big touchdown pass. Billy Highland teaming up with a real good-looking freshman. Boy, Florida developed so many high school kids that go on to play college football. You came out of that, Florida.
Well, Florida's a great state for all sports, only because the weather's there, and you can participate year-round.
And Marty Lyons speaks from experience. Florida boy. Here's Broadway into the secondary. Gets the first down to the 41-yard line. And Chuck Broadway brought down by Dan Foley. However, there is a flag on the play. Starting to get a lot of penalties in the last couple of series. But Chuck Broadway with a good burst breaks into the secondary, picked up 11.
And again, you can look at who he's running behind. Number 66, Anthony Capek.
You had a personal foul on a dead ball, late hit against the defense. That's a first down.
Marty, I know you guys on defense are aggressive, but you got to hold your cool a little bit.
Right there, that's just a mental mistake. When the man's down, Broadway made an excellent run, but he's down on the ground. He's clearly on the ground. You can't come up and stick a headgear. He's running right here. Broadway makes an excellent cut in the backfield. Capek gets out there, makes his block. Then it's all Broadway, right out to the outside. He's down. Here comes the late hit, 15 yards.
Now Sharkey with the first down at the 43-yard line. To Russo, not much of a hole. Bardunius and Barrow, the tackles, getting in very quickly to break up the play. Setting up a 2nd and long situation for St. John's. They trail 20-7, early second quarter. And don't forget, after a week off next week, Marty and Carl and yours truly will be on hand when Hofstra takes on CW Post. That'll be another war as Tom Marshall getting ready to go tomorrow against Salisbury State. CW Post and Hofstra playing Central Connecticut. Should be an interesting game.
Joe Gardy will definitely be tested tomorrow, and we're looking forward to doing Joe in a couple weeks ourselves.
So it's 2nd down, and let's call it 9 after the 1-yard pickup by Russo. Russo, very intense guy. Goes forward like all the good running backs. After hit, he goes north-south, Marty, and picks up extra yardage. John Chaldone and Tommy Oakes, the linebackers, brought him down.
Russo hits the hole so fast, Sharkey almost fumbles getting him the ball. Here's Russo. He hits the ball. Kapek again is the workhorse. He's taking charge up front. I know he wants to win this game. He's the leader of that offensive line. He's the senior. This is the last year. He wants to be an impact player.
He's 6 foot 265. 3rd and 3 out of the I formation. Give it to Russo, and he is tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. Eugene McCarthy, number 57, the junior linebacker who replaced Kevin Obser, last season star, coming up, plugs the hole beautifully there.
This is an inspired Iona defense. They know that they didn't give up that 7 points. They know that they've stopped St. John's all night. And right there, McCarthy just comes up, makes a big play on Russo, and actually tackles him for a 2-3 yard loss.
Ledwith to kick once again. He's been busy here in the first half. So check that. It'll be Parker kicking. 5th punt for Parker. Fair catch fake there by Urizzo. And St. John's will down the ball at around the 12-yard line. And it'll be 1st and 10. Mike Frazetta downing the ball. So Iona will take over deep in their own territory, but with a 13-point lead. If they don't self-destruct, they look to be in pretty good shape here, Marty.
Well, it's a long game. St. John's has got to come out and establish their defense. Right now, Sharkey's looking a little shaky on offense. Russo, he can't get anything going. So the defense has got to give the offense good field position. Right now, they got Iona backed up. They've got to keep them backed up in the hole to prevent them from going downfield and putting some more points on the board.
Billy Highland barking out the signals as Joe Bono now back in at right guard. And out of that run and shoot, Womack the single setback. Throwing for the far side, he's got his receiver out there. And it is Jack Urizzo getting a couple of yards to around the 17-yard line. Brought down by Kevin Barberi. But as we mentioned, without Chris Delacamera, a guy who they threw almost exclusively last year, they're spreading the ball around. That makes it tough to defend. You've got Esparro, who hasn't caught much tonight, but had a big game last week. Urizzo, Kennedy, 3 good wide receivers out there.
And you got excellent play selection over there by Harold Crocker.
2nd and 5.
Now this is a game that Iona's been pointing to, although Harold Crocker during this week of practice tried to downplay it. One of those kids that just think of it as another game. Movement in the line on the 2nd and 5. See if we had a false start here. Mark Conlon has checked out of the ball game on the offensive line.
Got a false start. Offense, still 2nd down.
So it'll be 2nd down for the Iona Gales. In case you're perhaps picking up the voice in the background of a great broadcaster, it is Bob Shepard, the public address announcer here at St. John's, former teacher here at St. John's, and for so many years the voice of New York Giant football at Giant Stadium, and of course New York Yankee baseball. It's just a delight to hear the voice of Bob Shepard here at St. John's. Highland on 2nd and 10. Throwing deep up the middle, looking for Harold Smith. He's out there ahead of the again, but could not hang on as again they picked on Kevin Barbieri. Smith has got the speed. He may be the fastest player on either team out there. Speed of under 4.5.
That's the second time, though. All Highland's doing is he's dropping back and he's throwing it and he's telling his receivers, you got the speed, go catch it. That's the second time Smith has had one drop off his fingertips, and he would have scored on both of them, Barry.
Oh, no question about it, Marty. Highland 8 for 15, including a couple of drops by Smith, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fine first half. And he's keeping those interceptions down. He has only one this year. Highland gets some pressure. We'll screen it out to Womack, and Womack well covered and brought down by Mark Winkler, the freshman, 6'4", 270-pound defensive end out of Beach Channel High School in Queens.
That play just took too long to develop. Winkler was never fooled a bit. The offensive line, they're letting the defenders go. Mark Winkler stayed at home. As a result, tackled him for a 5-yard loss.
Eric Medical at the back of the end zone to do the kicking. Mike Frazetta and Anthony Iadibio are the deep men. Squibs that line drive upfield on the AstroTurf, takes a bounce to Frazetta, and Frazetta will be down at the 38-yard line, and St. John's gets its best field position of the ball game right here.
Well, we talked about that, Barry, before the defense went out. We said if St. John's is going to get something going, their defense has to give them excellent field position. Sharkey's in the best position that he's been in all night. Let's see what he's going to do with it now.
32-yard punt for Eric Menical. How's that reaction?
I think Menical knew he made a bad kick after he had it.
So the Redmen, let's see if they can take advantage of that bad kick and the big defensive play as they take over with 9:39 to go here in the first half, trailing 20-7. Pitch to Russo. He's got a couple of blockers. Cuts it back. Fights his way for 2 or 3 tough yards. Brought down by Sean Kelly, number 67, and Eugene McCarthy, number 57. And getting up was Mike D'Antonio, the left tackle, trying to lead the blocking there, number 54. As you mentioned, they're playing 3 freshmen. That's awfully tough. That's a very difficult position, offensive line, to break in freshmen and be successful.
Well, that's one of the toughest positions. The only other position that's hard to learn when you're a freshman is being a cornerback, because you're out there on the island, you're on one-on-one a lot.
They've got Dan Antonio, Campbell, and Locasio, all freshmen on that offensive line, and a sophomore, Mike Medina, playing right tackle with K-Peck, the senior. Play action. Sharkey's got a man open for Zeta, but it was deflected, and what a possible interception there is there. Tommy Oakes, I believe number 45 is the man who came up with it. Tio Polanco made the hit, the deflection, and Tommy Oakes, who had the great game last week, 14 tackles, comes up with a dandy interception.
Anytime a linebacker can have 14 tackles in the game, you know one thing, he's around the ball. Here's a perfect example. He was out of his zone. The ball is tipped. He goes back and makes the interception. Here it is. He's playing in the shallow zone. The ball is tipped right there by number 1, and here he comes, Oakes, being in the right place at the right time. That's why he had 14 tackles last year.
Second interception thrown by Sharkey, and Iona gets the ball back here. In excellent field position here after the turnover. See, there's another flag on the play as the inside handoff. Scott Bider making the tackle on the Womack run. Boy, they're getting a lot of deflections here. What is that an indication of, as we'll get the call first, Marty, from referee Richard DeSimone?
I think the one thing Sharkey's got to do is he's got to put a little bit of loft on his ball. He's throwing it too hard. He's trying to press his passes in there.
Get the call.
We had illegal motion against Iona. Penalty accepted. First down.
So it'll be a 1st and 15. And the ball marked back to the 14-yard line. Harold Crocker talking things over with Jack Urizzo, and Crocker's got to be pleased right now. His club leading 20-7. They won 20-16 last week against Marist. Trying to beat St. John's for the first time in 10 years. Crocker 0-6 against Bob Ricca. Highland looking for the near sideline, overthrows Kevin Kennedy. Kennedy's had a fine ball game so far. The freshman from Boca Raton, Florida, who, as we mentioned, was recruited by Holy Cross. He's caught 3 passes, Kennedy, for 93 yards. John Del Rey on the coverage on that last play. Clock stops with 8:19 to go.
Highland definitely has a great deal of confidence in Kennedy. He goes there. Right here is the pass just gets up a little bit over Kennedy's head. He can't reach out and grab it.
Second and 15 for the Gales. See if they get Womack the ball. He hasn't touched it lately. Said they go to the far side. Incomplete, looking for Jack Urizzo. Kevin Barberi, again, the guy that was defending in the area. He's got to feel a little bit picked on. They're looking for him out there.
Well, the one thing he's got to be happy, he hasn't given up any touchdowns, especially those long touchdowns to Smith. I think if I was Harold Crocker, I'd be over there spraying some stickum on Harold Smith's hand and tell him this is the way to catch the ball.
From our end zone camera, you'll look at 5'8" Billy Highland and see if he can see over Al Bruno at 6'2", and Ray Lambright at 6'3". That's what he's looking at. in trouble, chased by Lambright and a bunch of red shirts. O'Grady chasing him, and he throws Kennedy. A diving attempt would have been incomplete anyway. Great concentration on the part of Kennedy to stay with that ball, but Highland is down at the goal line. He got belted as the Redmen were really coming on him.
I tell you, Highland's taking some licks, but he keeps getting up. He's showing what kind of toughness he has, and that toughness is going to the defense, it's going to the offense. As a result, Iona is playing a strong game thus far.
Vince O'Grady, number 39, their all-time sack leader. He has 22. Is coming like a house on fire, and he belted him. Menical's kick taken on the run, a dangerous play here, and there won't be much of a return for Anthony Iadivio. Good field coverage by Iona, but again, St. John's inside midfield. They've got good field position again, and plenty of time left with 7:58 to go in the first half. Let's go down in the field. Here's Carl Reuter.
Barry, the problem with Iona quarterback Bill Highland, it's his right ankle. Now, this happened early in the first quarter. St. John's player rolled on him. He's got a contusion just above the ankle on the outside part of it. Now, I went over there, and a lot of the Iona players know that St. John's, anytime Highland runs, they're going to go for that. They like nothing better than to knock Highland out of this game.
Now, Billy Highland has thrown 2 touchdown passes, and Vinny Spears run for the other. For the 3 Iona TDs, Sean Sharkey still in at quarterback. Drops straight back, quick outlet pass, and he's got his man open, Anthony Iadivio, for the first down. John Chaldone finally ran him down, but haven't gotten the ball in the hands of Iadivio. He's got 4.7 speed, premier receiver on this club. Looks like Highland hunched over there, and maybe the trainer is going to be chatting with him, checking him out. He's taken a lot of licks, as you said, Marty.
Well, he's taking a lot of licks, and he's doing a lot of scrambling, but he knows he has to get back in the game.
Iadivio will line up at the top of your screen, number 25. Jeff Long, single coverage at the bottom. That's what they want against Tio Polanco. Work a 3 deep secondary. Quick inside handoff, and not much there. Russo stopped at the line of scrimmage. There'll be no gain. As the defense of Iona, Mike Bardunias coming up with another big play. Very quick off the ball, Bardunias, for his size, 6'1", 220.
Bardunias is having a very steady game this half. He wants to have a complete game. They want to shut down Anthony Russo. They want to win this game.
Well, so far, they've done a pretty good job. Russo had a couple of good games in the first quarter. He's carried 10 times for 47 yards. 2nd and 10 on that no gain. Sharkey maybe trouble here. Will throw deep for Long down the sideline. Double coverage there. Polanco is there.
Sharkey.
Eugene McCarthy putting pressure on Sharkey. And the clock stops with 6:42 to go.
Right now, Sharkey's he's not showing any composure. He's not going back. He's not playing the offensive scheme. He's not letting the plays develop. He's just going back. He's 4 for 13 for 39 yards, 2 interceptions. Has no composure.
And he's in trouble right now, as are the Redmen with 6:42 to go. Coach Marty Lyons up here in the booth. Quick pitch, and he gets his big man right there, the tight end, Nicholas Palmieri, the transfer from Temple University. John Chaldone on the stop. Earlier they misconnected on a timing pattern. This time they hit it just right, and Palmieri gets him a big first down.
And Palmieri, they needed to get that first down because Sharkey was getting a little shaky back there. Right here, here's Shaky. He finds he's got an excellent target. Right there, he picks up the first down.
6'4", 240, junior from Staten Island. Makes his first reception in a uniform of the Redmen of St. John's. 1st and 10 at the 20. Sharkey in trouble, throwing, and incomplete, intended for Jeff Long. Polanco was closest to the ball. Vinny Santalia, number 90, putting the heavy pressure on Sharkey.
Well, we talked about the Iona pressure up front. We talked about Iona's defense. Right now, they're getting to Sharkey every time he throws the ball.
That young offensive line having problems giving Sharkey protection. As Iadivio has checked back into the ball game with a play. Tommy McPherson will go to the sideline. St. John's trailing 20-7 midway through the second quarter in their season opener. Sharkey handing off, and Broadway stuffed in the backfield. Eugene Eugene McCarthy, number 57, getting in very quickly. You got to be impressed not only by the front four, but that four-man linebacking crew as well. The front eight really doing the job.
They're doing an excellent job. They're making it easy on the secondary because they're putting so much pressure on up front.
Timeout, St. John's.
St. John's will take timeout, facing a 3rd and 12 situation at the 22-yard line. First timeout of this first half. And we want to remind you that we've got exciting football coming your way here on Sports Channel. 2 weeks, it'll be Hofstra against CW Post. And in October, we'll get a look at the Fordham Rams, who open their season tomorrow, taking on Lehigh. Larry Glick's club, they feel vastly improved. And we'll see Fordham in back-to-back games against Harvard on October the 12th, and also against Hofstra on October the 19th. Right now, Bob Ricker and offensive coordinator Bob Moldesani hoping they can find the key play here, Marty. This could be a very important play for St. John's. 3rd and 12 from the 22, trailing 20-7 with under 6 minutes to go in the half.
They want to keep this drive alive. It's 3rd and 12. They've got to make something happen. They want to get a little bit farther down, so at least they can get in field goal range.
Well, they're pleased with John Ledwith, their young kicker. We mentioned Sharkey's percentage last year was around 29%. So far today, 33%, 5 for 15. Long wide to the left, Iadivio wide to the right at the top of your screen. Broadway lined up as a wing to the left, and Russo the single setback on 3rd and 12. Sharkey, quick drop in, and it's complete to the big tight end, Palmieri, inside the 10-yard line, very close to the first down, and he has the first down. Tommy Oakes and Dan Foley combining to make the stop on this big guy, 6'4", 240.
It's hard to miss a target like that, and Sharkey just drops straight back, finds him wide open over the middle. The same play that we just saw. The results the first time a first down, the results the second time a first down.
Marty, that's one of the easier passes you'd think to throw. It's a short distance, it's a line drive pass. You don't need a great deal of touch on that play. If you drill it there, the target's there.
But the one thing you have to do is you've got to make sure you beat the linebackers.
Out of the I formation, Osterman the fullback now. Russo the tailback. 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. And a delay of game, a costly penalty here for the sophomore quarterback. Just took too much time.
Against St. John's.
So Scott Cessny on the sideline. We saw Dutch Ouderkirk there for a moment, former St. John's assistant coach, helping Bob Ricca, now in charge of the equipment room here at St. John's. What do you look for, Marty, on this 1st and 13?
Well, I think that they want to control the ball right here. They've got 3 downs to pick up 15 yards.
Sharkey looking for the touchdown here, and incomplete. Polanco was covering Iadivio. Good coverage on the part of the senior Tio Polanco. He's the only experienced defensive back in that secondary. Dan Foley, the freshman, coming off a great game last week at safety. And Al Mellon, sophomore, doing a good job at the other corner.
Coach Ricca has talked about using Anthony Russo 40 times a game. Right here is a perfect example. You've got to get him the ball. He's got 3 times to pick up 15 yards. He's your stud running back. Utilize him.
They'll hand off to the stud running back. Tripped up. Again, they had excellent penetration by those inside linebackers. Eugene McCarthy, how often have we mentioned his name, number 57, in on the play, along with number 41, Mike Morgan, the outside linebacker.
And also Tommy Oakes. Oakes hit him in the backfield, made a new line of scrimmage, and held him up for his other linebackers.
So a 3rd and, let's call it 13 play. Back to the original line of scrimmage here, so they've got nothing in the last 2 plays. Clock ticking, 4:30 to go. St. John's trailing 20-7. Sharkey scrambling, in trouble. Chased by Morgan. Morgan has him and brings him down. So the sophomore from Eastchester, their best coverage on the linebacking crew, comes up with a big defensive play, but Vinny Santaleo also was putting pressure from the backside.
Well, there was pressure everywhere. The front 7 just did an excellent job, but the 4 secondary people had excellent coverage right there. Here he is, he's scrambling, Sharkey's scrambling, and number 41, Mike Morgan, gets a hold of his jersey, and he's not going to let go.
Ledworth will be in the ballgame to attempt a field goal. It'll come from the 17th. It'll be a 27-yard attempt. fake. Here's Jason Villar, quarterback, to the 10 and down at the 5-yard line, but shy, of course, of the goal line. They were ready for that. Vinny Santalia and Dan Foley ran him down as St. John's tried for the little razzle-dazzle off the fake.
Vinny Santalia showed me something right there. He came all the way from the middle of the line of scrimmage to catch Sharkey running the ball.
Good speed for Santalia. As Jason Villar brought down on that play, he was the holder, the backup quarterback. So now Iona with 3:37 to go. Will they be content to run out the ball? Anthony Frisco is the new quarterback, as Highland perhaps shaken up more than we had. Look at the play by Lambright, almost gets a safety out of it as he drove the running back. Forward motion will rule it at about the 1 or 2 yard line, but Byron Womack got creamed there by Ray Lambright. And Bob Ricka says about Ray Lambright, potentially could be as good as any defensive lineman he's ever had in the 18 years I've been at St. John.
Well, right now he's having an excellent game. He's put some excellent hits on Highland. As a result, you see where Highland is. He's on the bench right now. And right there, he wrapped up Womack for a good 5 yards loss, and as you said, almost a safety.
Lambright has quickness and toughness, and interesting to point out, Marty, and perhaps you can comment on this, he runs over people, but Bob Ricka says, I'd like him to develop a little more finesse. He's always bullying guys away. Talk about that.
Well, I think anytime that you have a running back that's going to run from tackle to tackle, you have to be able to run over people. Anytime you get outside the tackles to the sidelines, that's when you got to use your ability, your foot speed, and your agility to run around people.
All right, you know, this fall on Sports Channel, baseball doesn't end when the World Series is over, because Sports Channel is bringing you baseball's greatest games. Catch 24 of the most dramatic Major League matchups from the past 4 decades, including Games 6 and 7 of the great '86 World Series. Nolan Ryan's 6 no-hitter. Baseball's greatest games premieres October 28th exclusively on Sports Channel. 2nd and 14 for Iona, backed up at the goal line. Can St. John's force a fumble? That's the only way they've scored so far. Frisco keeping it on the ground, and Womack hangs onto the football. St. John's with a good play. Scott Biter breaking it up very quickly. Redmen would like to stop the clock here and get their hands on the football once again. They've already used one timeout, you remember, in this first half. And I believe they've also used another one, so they're down maybe to 1. Iona will take as much time here on the clock. 3rd and 14. Don't look for anything fancy here, do you, with a freshman quarterback in there?
Well, you definitely have to get your punter, if you're going to punt the ball, a few more yards.
Now will be a delay of game. We'll wait and see here. Flags flying. Had a lot of penalties here in the second quarter. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Paul Reuter will be featuring Jack Kaiser in his halftime report. A look at the St. John's athletic director, who's had a proud career here as AD.
Delay game against Iona, half a distance to the goal line. Still 3rd.
And Carl will also be talking to former Liberty Conference Defensive Player of the Year, a great one, John Sackinger, who's a graduate student and also doing some helping out in the coaching staff with Iona. So we invite you to stay tuned at halftime. Now they mark the ball at the 1 yard line. Iona just wants to hang on to the football here with 3rd and 15 and 2.5 minutes to go. Frisco from the end zone with Womack. Womack's trying to stay out of the end zone. Antrowitz had him in the end zone, and I think he just got to the 1 yard line, or maybe the half yard line.
And the smart move on St. John's, they call a quick timeout. They want to get the ball in excellent field position with 2:19 to go and get some points out of this next drive.
How about a block punt attempt here? They've got the ball at the 1 yard line. He's about 9 yards away from the line of scrimmage here. Think St. John's will come?
The only problem with going with a block right here, if you don't get it and you block into the kicker, automatic first down. Right here, they're going to get excellent field position, and you still have 2 minutes or 2 minutes and 19 to get something done.
But on the other hand, the offense has done nothing here in the first half, and you may need it by your special teams. That's the only way they've scored so far. We'll see, Marty. Eric Medical will have some time to think. And let's see if Bob Ricka will just look for the run back here. Let's go quickly down to the field and Carl Reuter.
Barry, an update on Bill Highland. The contusion on his right ankle is okay. Now he has a thigh injury. It's a deep bruise on his left thigh. They took him out now to give him some extra time to ice him down before the start of the second half. So the contusion on the right ankle is okay. Now the left thigh is bothering him. That's why he's on the sidelines being iced down right now, but he should be back for the second half, Barry.
Thank you very much, Carl. And right now, it's in the hands of the freshman quarterback, Anthony Frisco. Medi-Cal punting for the 6th time. He's averaged 37 yards. St. John's dropping back in a return here. Iadivio will field this one, a good punt at the 41-yard line. 35 and will be shoved down. Number 24, Anthony Johnson, along with number 53, Mike Corcoran, on the stop. A 39-yard kick and a 5-yard return. So again, good coverage by Iona on the punt.
Iona's special teams, they've been doing an excellent job. Taking into consideration the last 3 punts came out at the end zone, they've been able to get as good as field position as possible for their defense.
St. John's with 1 timeout remaining as they huddle back. And now we'll come to the line of scrimmage at the 36-yard line. Sean Sharkey hoping to come up with a big play. He's found tight end Nicholas Palmieri as a target the last couple of times. In trouble from the backside, Vinny Santalia was chasing him down, and he throws it away. Boy, they had all kinds of problems. Sean Kelly and Vinny Santalia, the outside ends, were pouring in.
You can see why this Iona, they're very happy and content with their front 7. They've been doing an excellent job on Sharkey all night, putting the pressure on him. Right there, Sharkey's got to deliver the ball earlier. He can't sit back there and wait for a play to develop.
We are now updated. St. John's does not have any timeouts remaining. 2:01 left here in the first half. 2nd and 10 from the 36. Sharkey, Santalia putting the pressure on, out of the backfield to Chuck Broadway. Short gain as he gets it around to the 35-yard line. John Chaldone, the linebacker, on the coverage. And St. John's will have to move quickly here. Boy, look at Santalia, the outstanding freshman from Saunders High School.
He's been there all night, Barry, and he's putting the pressure on Sharkey. Right there, Sharkey found Broadway over the middle, but they have no timeouts. They've got to get to the sidelines, or they've got to get the ball in the end zone.
Minute 28 to go, 3rd and 6. Russo will look for the first down, and with a couple of nifty moves, tries to get it, but then yanked back down. Tio Polanco coming up and preventing him from stretching out to get that first down.
Polanco's made a couple of those tackles like you're throwing a lasso around a big old horse's neck, and he pulled Russo down, making sure he didn't pick any more yards.
4th and about 2 with 1:05 to go. Biggest play of the ball game for St. John's here. Long count by Sharkey, 55 seconds to go. Looking for the sideline, Long had it and could not hang on as Mike Morgan was right there. So the ball turned over, and the Gales with 52 seconds left and leading 20-7 take over 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line.
That's got to be disappointing for St. John's right there. They were so successful in the last drive relationship between Sharkey and the tight end. I'm surprised they didn't come back with it that series just to pick up some positive yards, just to get down there, to go in at halftime on a positive note.
So Billy Highland out of the ball game, and Anthony Frisco will try with 52 seconds to run the clock out here. Keep it on the ground to Byron Womack. Slips down as he picked up about 7, gets to the 35-yard line. I mentioned Womack gained 102 yards and 17 carries. Kind of rap on Womack was that he's great in the open field, but couldn't take the pounding. But I think last week, carrying 17 times, he showed that he could be the tough running back.
Well, I think it's kind of hard to say a young man can't take the pounding when he's returned 6 kickoffs for touchdowns also.
20 seconds to go. Womack tripped up. It'll be a short gain. Scott Biter on the stop. And that should be the final play of the first half. Now the officials stop the clock here. Why would Iona want to stop the clock here? St. John's has no timeouts remaining. Hard to imagine why a timeout unless there's an injured player.
No, right now, Barry, what they're doing is they're measuring for a first down.
Okay.
And it's either going to be 4th and a half a yard or 1st down and 10. Either way, Iona's just going to fall on the ball to end this first half.
Eagle eye. Marty Lyons spotting it. And it is a 1st down by about an inch or 2.
1st down.
Well, that's a nice way to end the half for Iona. Trying to run out the clock. They pick up a 1st down. As they have played a very fine first half. The only St. John's touchdown, a fumbled punt recovered in the end zone. That's the only scoring so far. Chris Carew scoring for St. John's, as Billy Highland threw for 2 touchdown passes in the first half, and Vinny Spira ran from 1 yard out. And that is it. The end of the first half, and the Gales, who have lost 10 straight years to the Redmen of St. John's, head to the locker room, and Harold Crocker clapping. His team has a 20-7 lead.
And he's got to be very impressed. His offense played well and his defense played well.
Let's go down to the field, and here's Carl Reuter with Bob Ricca.
All right, Barry, thanks very much. The offensive line is having some trouble with Iona's defensive line, and Sharkey is having problems running the ball club.
Well, we have 3 freshmen on the offensive line, Carl, so this is what you have to expect. Hopefully we can get in there now and calm them down and come back in the second half.
What problems has Highland possessed for St. John's? Because he seems to be stringing it out from sideline to sideline, opening it up.
You see what happens. He buys time, and then the kids come open. We have a good coverage initially, but he buys all the time for them, and kids come open.
Quick evaluation. What do you have to do right now, Bob, when you talk to the troops?
Settle them down, especially the offensive line, the freshmen. Keep them calm, let them know they survived the first half, and we got a good shot in the second half.
All right, Bob, thanks for coming on. Good luck second half. Coach Bob Ricca of St. John's, his evaluation on his team's first half play in their first game of the season. Now stay tuned. When we come back to Redmen Field, we've got a lot of halftime activities to follow, so stay with us.
Metro College football is brought to you in part by Citibank.